Good morning. Actually, I'm going to change everything I was supposed to do and start from where Sachin left off yesterday. Because he says all in. And I don't think, or maybe I misunderstand, but I'm not sure you understand what we mean by all in. We as De Beers and Forevermark are all in. And why are we all in? We started the journey with Forevermark over 15 years ago. And we were looking into the future. We were looking into what's going to impact sales, what's going to impact consumer behavior, what do we need to anticipate so that you and we are all ready for what's happening today. And so we started off with looking at Forevermark and understanding what it needs to be rooted in so that we have your backs. You can trust us, you can rely on us, because our reputation and your reputation is fundamental for the progress of our business and your business. So we're all in. We're committed to this, and you heard Bruce yesterday talking about the De Beers Group being committed to Forevermark. We're on a constant journey of evolution, and you'll hear later on from Diana Verdenieto from Positive Luxury. They're our consulting firm. They work with us together to understand how we can even be better and ahead of the curve. We didn't start with her. We started a lot earlier, but we need to evolve and we need to learn how to communicate better with our consumers over time. So I need to pick up on two other points that Sachin mentioned yesterday. One was Google. I don't know how many of you are aware of this, but it's true. It's happening, and within the next 5 years, our lives will significantly change again. They're sending balloons up into the stratosphere to transmit broadband to regions that cannot be cabled. And they're doing it today in Argentina and the southern parts of Latin America, and they're starting the project here now in India. And what does that mean? As we look at our millennials, what do we understand about them? Well, most of them have grown up with a phone in their hand, and they're capable of connecting at any moment in time to do a search, to inform themselves. And within 5 years, everybody will be able to do that anywhere in the world. And that has a dramatic impact on the behavior that we all have, because if we do something wrong, we will live to regret it. And the case in point, and we don't want to belabor it, and I struggle because I have friends who work with the company, but Volkswagen made a mistake. And they, no matter how much they pay in fines to any government, they're going to live the reputation. People will not forget what they've done. And that's very important. So today, I'm taking you back to basics. I'm taking you back to what Forevermark is. You may know it, you may think it, but I want you to feel it deep inside so that you understand what Forevermark is, so that when you talk to your consumers, you feel the connection. I don't know why some of you have joined Forevermark. Perhaps it's a De Beers brand and it's De Beers diamonds and you feel comfortable with that. But I want you to go beyond that. I want you to go into understanding what the promise is all about. So I may repeat myself, and I may repeat the endless journeys that Lena does to train your salespeople and our team out there in the market that's training you on a constant basis. The messages may not be new to you, but perhaps I give you a slightly different angle to what we're talking about. Today, in the US, the consumers are far ahead, and they're already asking the questions, and we need to be, and we are in the position to supply the answers. This may not be happening right now, but your consumers, as they're globally connected, and as Sachin was talking about the millennials, they're going to search. They're going to want to find out about what they're buying. And they're going to look at our website, they're going to look at your websites, they're going to look to find out what it is about the diamond that they can trust. And I need to be extremely thankful to Sabyasachi yesterday, because he told us why he chose Forevermark. He didn't need to choose Forevermark. He wasn't paid to choose Forevermark. He did his homework. He said that. He did his homework, and he went to understand what Forevermark was. And when he felt comfortable, he chose to work with us. And I think we're greatly honored and proud to be able to work with somebody like Sabyasachi. So, without further ado, I start with beautiful. You all know we talk continuously about beautiful. Less than 1% of the world's diamonds are eligible to be Forevermark diamonds. Why? Because we go through an incredibly rigorous selection process. I have Brian in the room, so he will be here to support me in occasion. But our selection process goes a step beyond. We talk about going beyond the 4 Cs. Why? Because we know that on certificates, two diamonds on paper may be the same, but one will be more beautiful. And we search for that more beautiful diamond. So we begin with obviously making sure that they're not treated, they're natural, there are no hidden enhancements. We're looking at the girdles, the thickness of the girdles, the depth of the pavilions, and the crown. We're looking for the cullets and the measurements of the facets to make sure that there's absolutely pure symmetry and proportions so that we can talk about pure beauty. And then, of course, the table polish at the end where we inscribe our Forevermark. So that's a nutshell, but you'll be able to go further in depth with Lena and the team, understanding what beyond the 4 Cs really is. But it is a more beautiful diamond, and that's important for your consumers to understand. So we started 15 years ago thinking about the future, and the future really was we need to give reassurance to the consumers. We know this is a difficult business. You know how difficult it is to sell every day. When a consumer comes in, they're full of doubt. They don't know what they're buying, they have a rapport, they may not have a rapport, they've done some research, but they're confused. And they're confused about many things. And what we want to do is we want to make sure that they have the reassurance from us that what they're purchasing is correct. And so obviously we're talking about the natural, the untreated, the conflict-free, but most importantly, this is a brand of integrity. So the integrity really is about us embodying our values and making sure that the entire pipeline is involved in that process. And some of our site holders and our manufacturers know the difficult process they go through when we talk about business practice principles. But our business integrity is fundamental, and we need to make sure that that is constantly controlled and monitored so that there is no leakage anywhere, and we can be sure whenever we're checked that that's what we stand for. But as a brand, as a company, we also stand for the future of the nations where we work. So the communities, the people that work there, the environments are fundamental for us. And we're thinking about the future of the countries themselves when the mines perhaps will close down. So we need to be able to empower the nations and the people to have a future. So ecotourism and tourism, whatever it is that the country has to offer, we need to make sure that we enable the population to be in the position to think about their futures. So education and opportunity for women is fundamental for us. And of course, protecting the natural world. We talk about extinction and so forth, and I'll get into that in a second. So again, the physicality of the diamond, natural, untreated, and conflict-free. And in our relationship with the way we sort of cascade down from our company into your companies is really to say, we want to make sure that the employees are legally employed, they're safe, that there are responsible practices in place, and that all employees are engaged in that process. It's very important, it's fundamental. Human rights is on the table. Now, we start obviously from where the diamonds are sourced, conflict-free, and then we go into the pipeline. And we track and we trace at every step of the way, from the cutting into the polishing, the journey of the diamond. The site holders themselves are tracked and traced, and we have the best practice principles that are checking them and monitoring it all the time. And then we have third parties that are actually checking up on that as well. And as you saw in the images as well, those are people from Southern Africa, Botswana, who are actually learning how to cut and polish diamonds, because that's the future business they can potentially be in. But it doesn't stop there. The Beers Group and Forevermark are actively engaged in education in the environments around the mines, so schools in education, and women and girls are really about the future and empowering them to have a role in society, which is quite important. So The De Beers Group and Forevermark invest in programs in the schools to help students, whether they have learning difficulties. We set up separate programs for that. We have a mathematical program in which we help students engage in higher mathematics. We work with NGOs to make those happen, and we also supply support systems to teachers to be able to help the students after hours in order to help them through their process. And finally, we fund their further education as well. So the critical part of giving back to the communities is very important for us. And here's an example of some of the programs. Once they've emerged, and sometimes they've even started without the education. We have professional training, we have mentorship programs, and we have funds in which we help people who want to enterprise on their own, and especially women. And so here we have, for example, the Zemele Fund, which is in Limpopo. It's in the Southern African region, where we actually contribute actively with mentorship and funding to people like Mercy, who wanted to set up her own farm by herself. She's relatively illiterate, but she has an idea and she has a passion. And we helped her along the journey, funded her, she bought her tractor, she employs people, and today she's a thriving business in the region. And this is one of many examples that we're engaged with to help people grow, and especially women, to find a place in society. And of course, our minds are not only in South Africa, Botswana, and Namibia, but also in Canada, and our environments are important to us. It's the future not only of the people there, but of the planet itself. And we're actively engaged to make sure that the endangered species and the plants are protected. And you probably read about it as much as I do. The poaching of rhinos and elephants, and not just, is a problem, and extinction is near the corner. So we sit there and sometimes we take things for granted, but it's not really that true. We have had extinct animals in the past, and it's our task and responsibility to make sure that doesn't happen. So in South Africa and Botswana and Namibia, we have what's called the diamond route. That's sort of where the diamonds have traveled through over history of times. And De Beers has 7 sites that are huge farms which we dedicate to beneficiation, and which we protect animals and their natural habitats, and we're quite engaged in doing that. Sort of stop here a second and say, has anybody visited our website? Hopefully, yes. But on the right-hand side of our website, there's Our Diamonds. And if you go into the responsibly sourced stuff, you'll be able to learn all this. It's active and it's true, and it's important for you to understand. And we engage, obviously, with all our manufacturing partners and people around the world that work with us, because the environmental impact is very important, and climate change is something we need to understand and to deal with better. But we want to make sure that whoever works with us manages their environmental impact in an appropriate way. So we, again, are quite active in that, and we have a research fund. It's along the diamond route, where we do research that is applied through a conference which is held once a year, where we have people from all over the world that come, students, universities, who actually go through a learning process, but also experimental process, to understand how the environment is changing and what can be done to maintain an equilibrium and a balance. And this is probably the most important environmental conference in all of Africa, and it's probably the biggest in the world at the moment, where the knowledge and the learning we have has a significant impact on the way people are behaving today. To this point, we've decided we want to take you a step further and take our consumers a step further. Sachin talked about our millennials. Our millennials want to show that they're making thoughtful acquisitions and thoughtful choices. So not only are they hopefully choosing Forevermark for the right reasons, but we want to engage them on a charity program as well, which will be launching in 2017, in which the proceeds of the bracelet that we're going to be selling will go back to the environment and to programs to protect the rhinos, which is significant and important in both Botswana and South Africa. and it's sitting in the back over there, so you can start pre-ordering if you want. But I think it's quite important for us. And then finally, I thought I'd just give you a testimonial of somebody who we worked with to bring all this imagery to life and to help us communicate in a better way. This is a sort of 2 minutes from Annie Griffith, who's a photographer who works with National Geographic. She's been to, I thought I had been to a lot of countries, but she supersedes me. She's been to 152 countries, which is extraordinary in her journey, and she's photographed from refugee camps to everything possible. And we sent her to South Africa, and this is the story that she has to tell us. Oops.
I love photography because I fell in love with light through photography. I've never seen a shot like this, ever. And the beauty of light. It allows me to exercise my curiosity. It's like a search. I've worked in about 150 countries, and there's connective tissue. And really, photography for me is a passport into people's lives. So when I travel, I have an excuse, really, to say, can I get to know you? And that's been the biggest privilege of my life. My very first assignment outside the country was to Namibia, and one of the things I photographed was diamonds. What I really, until this trip, didn't realize was the connection between diamonds and conservation. That diamonds have created a safe corridor that will keep these animals alive and in some instances thriving. We're seeing the most extraordinary variety of animals on this trip. We saw a herd of 18 giraffes. And the aardvark that looks as silly as its name. The lions that we saw. To see an elephant just look you in the eye. You know, your heart stops, really. The rangers and the guides knew each animal as an individual. That, to me, spoke to the uniqueness of each animal. And each animal is rare and imperfect, which makes it special. Look at 1, 2, 3. I never thought of them in connection with wildlife. Tell me when you see the leopard, okay? So to see that industry is giving back to the environment, the culture, it's very exciting, I think. I mean, I'll never look at diamonds the same. I have a ring that was my great-grandmother's, so it's well over 100 years old. And it's just a single diamond, but it means the world to me because it came down that path of my own life. Well, when I first started, there were very few women who were photographers. And I knew that I had to bring real strength to my work.
How are you? Good. I will try not to drive you crazy.
And then when I learned more about what Forevermark and De Beers is doing to support women in their industry and in their communities, I just thought it's a natural fit. I see myself in many of these women. Women are the best investment we can make in our shared future. That job means that the home they live in will be safer. We all wish for a better life for our kids. A diamond is a symbol of many things, but it also speaks to generations. Forever to me, it means something bigger than the individual. Forever is what we are determined to save, what we are determined to value, of thinking into the future. To me, forever is big picture, and it humbles me. Good day.
So really, there's one sentence I adore. Who would have imagined that diamonds give back? We give diamonds as a gift of love to express our emotions and our deeper emotions, to make the person that we're giving the diamond to feel that they're being loved. But the pride that we want people to feel today is that this diamond actually has done more than just make one person happy or a family happy. That behind it there's a history, there's a story, there's a journey of giving back and thinking about the future and the environment and the people. And so when we talk about rare, beautiful, and responsibly sourced, that responsibly sourced actually is a huge message, and it's a story that you can tell and should be telling to your consumers. That's it.